fine. Her little toes and hands are part of me, and it's blown my mind, you know. Maybe there is a God after all.
Welcome to the book launch of the Liverpool Encyclopedia, hosted by the Anfield Rat. My name's Neil Atkinson. To my far left, literally, if not necessarily politically, is Steve Graves. Then I've got Gudmundur Magnusson. Then I've got Arnie Balderson, who've written the LFC Encyclopedia. And to my far right, most definitely politically and literally, is top fascist John Gibbons. What we're going to talk about, the way this night's going to work, is that in the opening part, we're going to talk about the remarkable work that Arnie and Gudmundur have done with the LFC Encyclopedia. A lot of what I say, in fact, all of what I say, isn't a sales pitch. I've been playing with this book now for about 3 weeks, looking at different things and all this sort of stuff, and it is just a terrific piece of work, and they should both be very, very proud of it. So we're going to talk about that, talk about the encyclopedia, their background, LFC history, how they've got to this point, the way in which it looks, all that sort of stuff. And then we're going to merge that into a discussion about the football club itself, Liverpool Football Club, the way it's changed. And then what I also want to talk about, and I want you to start thinking about, is Liverpool managers and what is often expected, Shankly onwards, of Liverpool managers, specifically around the idea of big decisions. What I don't want to do is have us talk endlessly about why Liverpool was shite against Arsenal. Not least because you can do that sort of thing to death, but instead talk about exactly what it is we expect when in that historical context. And with reference currently to Brendan Rodgers, I want to talk about that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break wherein you'll be able to buy the book that you should most definitely buy at the hugely reduced price of £25. And then we are going to play some games wherein you will be able to win the following: 2 executive lounge tickets to Liverpool versus Fulham at the weekend. You'll be able to win a copy of the book signed by both authors, and you'll also be able to win, very kindly, a £50 voucher from C Tickets, and that's all in part 2. So, without any more admin, because there's always too much admin, I want to ask Arnie, why an encyclopedia?
Well, as he said, that we started with the website in 2002, and we built it consistently since then. And the stats are really the basis of the website, but what we wanted to do eventually is to add meat to the bones, so to speak, and to get the stories through. So I thought that the book is a much better medium to display that. So through some fantastic images and glorious design work by Leslie Priestley, who's here, and the ambition of James Corbett, that we got the opportunity to do this.
Steve Graves, you had a look at the book before, you've had a good look through it as well. What's striking about it, I think, is that it isn't just facts and figures. That would have been the worst thing for it to be. It's the way in which there has been a selection process there, hasn't there, in terms of which stories are worth telling and which ones aren't?
Yeah, I mean, me and Gibbo looked through it for 5 minutes, a minute ago, and just found some more stories that we hadn't ever heard before about some of the players from back before the Shankly era, some of the stories about their lives.
The pre-Shankly era stuff's great, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, the player whose wife was a bigamist. I think he only played 1 game for us, but the fact that
who's that, Arnie?
Messina Ullman.
Messina Ullman. Okay, go on, Steve.
Messina Ullman. So immediately, even people who we'd like to think we know a bit about the club don't actually know those kind of stories. So that brings it to life beyond just the stats of who scored what when.
It's a process. It doesn't just happen. We get the stats and we get them correct, and of course it's a tedious process. It took 16 months of what Gudmundur is really good at is creating databases, and he created the database from scratch. And the process of putting in all the stats was very difficult. Took 16 months.
Can I have a quick show of hands who's used LFC history? Ever used LFC history in this room? Ever thought, I need to check something out? That is, I'd say, the vast majority of the room of people. Even people are now looking reluctantly up and putting their hands up. It's okay to have to look things up sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. That's absolutely fine. I mean, that's where it comes from. But it is that moment where you want to do more with it, isn't it, Arnie?
Sorry?
It is that moment
I
where
was
you want to do
facing
more.
out, sorry. I didn't. You have to repeat the question.
Just this idea of doing more than just simply giving these appearance figures instead and telling these stories. It's a significantly richer process, but it must also be basically harder work.
Yeah, but as I say, I'm more interested really in the stories than simply the stats. And we've been trying with the website, for example, to add also press reports and so we just don't get who the first 11 was. We just want how was the how did the goals come about and stuff like that, and some remarkable incidents that happened in that particular match and so forth and so on. So we have quotes and articles connected to almost all the players and to get you see them as people, not just like names on a paper. So that was mainly my ambition, especially with the players that, like in the first decades of the club, that nobody knows about really.
That's the most interesting thing, I think, John. Too often with modern football, you reduce the footballers just to literally what they're doing on the pitch. The idea of them of broadening that picture out with them as people, it's significant, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because I think a lot of the footballers in this book, I mean, modern footballers we know much more about, but often these footballers in our history, they're just reduced to what they achieved and maybe what they won and how many appearances they made and things like that. But this book really brings them to life and really, you understand them more, as people as well as players, but also understand the times that they were playing in and how they're completely different and how much football's changed. And I think it's a fascinating book. I've had it for about the same amount of time as you have, and yeah, it is fantastic. And it's funny that you used the word tedious because it's work putting something like that together. I mean, we kind of at the Anfield mess about for a couple of hours a week and talk about football and have fun and.
Don't break the fourth wall, John.
but what we're doing is trying to be entertaining, trying to be interesting. But doing something like this is, it feels like almost for the greater good. It's something that no one else has done, and there's almost a reason for that. It is a huge amount of work, so I think you really need to be commended, especially from people who aren't even from Liverpool, for putting this together, because I think it's really important and it's something that maybe should be given to all Liverpool fans. Although I wouldn't recommend that as a business plan.
Hooray! What should I say for